Yo, Darius here, and today we're getting into basic camera angles and shots for filmmaking. There's already different versions of this kind of thing floating around, but I thought it would be kind of fun to do my version of it. Well, I do believe it about that time to get into it. Class is in session. Fools. Going down for it. Types of shots. There are quite a number of different shots that we can use to various dramatic effects, but it really helps to know what they are and how to use them. Extreme wide shot. In extreme wides, the actors appear small in the landscape or the environment. These are generally used as establishing shots. Extreme wides don't always have to feature an actor, they can just establish a location as well. Lawrence of Arabia is a great example of a film that uses an enormous number of extreme wide shots to give you the feeling of scale. The lead is literally dwarfed by his surroundings, making him seem weak and insignificant at times. These types of shots are great for certain effects and stunts as well, like the truck flip in The Dark Knight. They used an extreme wide shot for clarity of view. Wide shot, aka full shot. Wide shots establish the relationship between the subject and the background. We can see the actor from head to toe, and we also get a sense of the geography around them. We can use shots like this for a number of reasons, one of which is to communicate a sense of loneliness or isolation. Medium full shot. Halfway between a full shot and a medium shot is a medium full shot. The frame here usually cuts off somewhere between the knees and the waist. We're still wide enough to establish the scene, but we're able to see a little more of the face as well. This shot is also known as the cowboy shot because we would be able to see the face and the holster in the same shot. Medium shot slash mid shot. Congratulations, we are now right smack in the middle of the range of possible shots. You frame your actor just above the waist for a medium shot. This framing allows space for the actor to interact with other objects or the environment. If your actor is performing some sort of task or business in the scene where we need to see both his face and his hands, medium shots are perfect for this. In documentaries or interviews, we see a lot of these because we're close enough to the subject to connect on an emotional level, yet far enough to take in some of their surroundings. Medium close-up. Halfway between a medium and a close-up is a medium close-up. The shot is about chest up, sometimes called a bust shot. The emphasis is still on the actor's face. Close-ups. Close-ups are pretty much head and shoulders. This framing places full attention on the face because we're now close enough to see every detail of it. Sometimes you'll see people frame up close-ups cutting the actor off at the forehead. Everyone has their own framing preferences. With close-ups, the actor's face dominates the shot because it takes up most of the field of view, but in layman's terms, we're kind of forced to look at the face because it's so huge. Extreme close-up. We're getting right into the nitty-gritty. Extreme detail. We either completely fill the frame with your actor's face cutting off at the forehead, or we're highlighting particular facial features. Cut in slash insert. Insert shots don't focus on people, we use them to emphasize a relevant object in the scene. You can think of it as we're punching right in on a certain detail. Cutaway. A cutaway is when you're cutting to anything else that isn't in the main scene. An easiest example will probably be like a phone call, where you're cutting away from one character in one location to another character in another location. POV slash point of view. A POV shot or a point of view shot is exactly that. We are seeing a shot from someone's point of view. It's like we're seeing through their eyes. Another name for this shot is the subjective camera. This shot is great for literally seating us in a character's subjective experience. The film Hardcore Henry is an example of a story told using only POV shots. OTS, over the shoulder. So an over the shoulder is when you place the camera behind the actor and we see both the back of the actor and what he or she is looking at in the field of view. Double it up. We were talking about one person, but we can frame up different versions of the same shots with more than one person. Two shot. With a two shot, we frame two actors up at the same time. Usually, you'll find the symmetry when framing up both actors so that they share the same amount of screen space, but not always. Two shots can also be full body two shots, medium two shots, close up two shots. You can frame up a conversation between two actors using an over the shoulder shot. We've got the close up over the shoulder, medium over the shoulder, and full body over the shoulder. You can do variations of these shots with 3 actors, 4 actors, 5 actors, 10 actors, really like just however many actors you can stuff in a frame. Lenses and shots. You can achieve any one of these shots with various lenses, but the lens that you choose will have a dramatic effect on both the look and the feel of the shot. Let's take a few different versions of a close-up. If you use a standard 50mm lens, you get something like this. But if you're filming a comedy, then you might want to move even closer and use a wide angle lens. Facial features get a bit more exaggerated, giving it a comedic effect. A great example of wide angle close-ups would be Oh Brother Where Art Thou by the Coen brothers. Both of these shots are close-ups, but they feel dramatically different from one another. What's really changing in between these two shots is perspective. The closer you get to your actor or your subject, the more dramatic the perspective becomes. That cartoonish effect is not there because you're on a wide angle lens. That cartoonish effect is there because you're really, really close to your actor. And the only way to get that close to your actor's face with a camera lens and still see their entire face is to use a wide angle lens because it has the really wide field of view. If you're still confused about the whole perspective thing, here's an example. Here's a close-up on a 50mm lens. If we don't move the camera and take another shot on a 16mm lens, it looks something like this. If I digitally zoom in on the 16mm shot, I can achieve the same close-up I had with the 50mm lens, minus some resolution of course. But the perspective is still the same because we are at the same distance from the subject in both shots. Camera angles. One of the strongest tools we have as filmmakers is we get to decide where we want to position our camera in relation to our actors or our subjects. There is a lot of power in that. The camera angles you choose when shooting a scene can dramatically alter the emotional impact of the scene. Eye level. When the camera is eye level with an actor, it's placed at the same height as the subject. We're looking at the actor eye to eye. Eye level shots are incredibly common because the camera becomes a neutral observer in terms of impact and emotion. They have no dramatic power. This is why we see news broadcasts at eye level. Low angle. When we place the camera anywhere below the actor's eye line, we get a low angle shot. Low angles make characters appear more dominant. It gives the subject a sense of strength and power. Extreme low angle. Extreme low angle is lower than the low. When we're that low on anybody, you're pretty much making them look like a certified boss. I'm bossy. High angle. With a high angle shot, the camera is above the actor looking down. Shooting down on people gives the impression that they're submissive, weak, or frightened. Overhead. Overhead shots are great for getting a more objective view of the action, the characters, or a scene. Because the shot is kind of really very uncommon, there's a certain amount of like psychological distancing that happens when you take a shot of something from overhead. How many people experience a view like that in their lifetime? Unless you're like on the top of a building looking down on people or something, and even then it's not the same thing. It's almost a very abstract shot if you think about it. Dutch tilt. This is definitely one of the more dramatic compositions. A Dutch tilt, aka the canted angle, is when you lean the camera sideways. The image slopes a bit. Dutch angles are primarily used to disorient the viewer or imply some sort of altered state of mind for a character. Moving the camera. When we move the camera left or right from the same spot, this is a pan. When we tilt the camera up or down from the same spot, this is a tilt. A handheld shot is when we actually hold the camera by hand or using some sort of shoulder rig. A Steadicam shot is much smoother than a handheld shot because it's taken using a Steadicam. A dolly shot is when you move the camera forward or back or left or right on a track or a slider. Of course, you can zoom in or out on a subject using zoom lenses. A jib or crane shot is a shot taken on a jib or a crane, allowing the camera to move vertically while maintaining fluid motion. So I went on ahead and shot a little scene for you guys just for fun. I also labeled the types of shots just to kind of further reinforce some of the things we've been talking about. I'm gonna call this scene
Oh, what's up, Dad? Congratulations. You get a 25-cent raise.
Thank you.
Last thoughts. By far the best way to learn all of this stuff is you just grab a camera, borrow some lenses, go out and just shoot stuff. Experiment, have fun. Just remember, all of these things that we talked about here, they're just guidelines. You can completely transform the meaning of any of these shots or like take them completely out of context for any number of creative reasons or narrative purposes. And with that, go shoot something! If you've got some questions about filmmaking, or maybe you're looking for some guidance on how to get to the next level with where you currently are with what you have, you can schedule a one-on-one chat with me session. I will leave a link in the description section. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like, go subscribe. You can also find me on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or the Twitter, baby. You can also check out my second YouTube channel, Darius Britt, where I vlog about my adventures on the film festival circuit with my first feature-length film, unsound, live casting, vlogs, etc., etc. I do believe that's all I got for you, suckers. Booyah!